When you work for a church or a diocese or another nonprofit organization, you usually don't always think about making money. You just rely on the generosity of donors to make the magic happen. But in this episode of the eCatholic Vlogcast, we'll give you specific ideas, ways to actually make money that you can then reinvest in your ministry. Oh, and don't tell anybody, because this is stuff that most churches and other Catholic organizations usually miss. Hey there, and welcome to the eCatholic Vlogcast, where we're on a mission to reverse the trend of not-so-great Catholic communication. I'm Matthew Kurtz. He's Joe Garcia. Today we're going to talk about revenue opportunities that a lot of churches, schools, and dioceses actually miss out on. So when I worked at the Catholic diocese, I didn't generally think of ways to actually make money through my work. I just imagined that everything I did was a service that we offered to people in our diocese, which isn't a bad way to think about it, but I just thought if we needed money, we had a stewardship office, we had the annual bishop's appeal to handle all of that, and we'd just get money through that, no more, no less, and everything would be just fine. But I think that's the case now for a lot of churches and schools and dioceses. But if you start to switch that mentality and actually think about ways that you could actually bring in money, that you could reinvest to do even a better job of evangelization, it could really be a game changer for the church.
Absolutely. I want you to just take a moment and think about what your parish, school, or organization can do with an extra $10, $20, $50,000 in next year's operating budget. And I think those are the kinds of numbers that we kind of want to challenge you today to think about, because I firmly believe that they're within that realm of possibility. And I know a lot of times when I'm visiting with priests or other places, they feel bad thinking about their ministry as a business sometimes. But in this case, I don't want you to feel bad about it. We want to challenge you a little bit and let you know that, hey, it's okay sometimes to think about it, because like Matthew said, you're not taking money and you're not making money just to make it. You're making it so that you can reinvest it back into your ministry to do better things and help evangelize better and bring others to know God. And like I said before, and I think one of our other vlogcasts is, I think we have the best message to tell, and I think we have a lot of room for improvement on how we can do that. And, like it or not, it's going to take money to do that. And so kind of a good example of this is just Bishop Barron's Word on Fire ministry. His ministry makes money. There's no question. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone, but they reinvest the money that they're making by producing, great quality content. They're reinvesting that money to make sure that the production quality of everything that they're producing is phenomenal. They're investing into people, into staff to make things happen. And it's okay. And what it's doing is it's really getting our Catholic message out. So I want you guys to think, like, what if more of us operated kind of under that mentality that it's okay to make money because we need it to reinvest into the ministries that we're doing that are just so great and helping others kind of go through. It's Business 101. Don't feel bad about it. And kind of our goal today is to give you 3 ideas and ways that you could essentially create revenue opportunities for your organization.
Yeah, we've got 3 specific ideas to talk through, and here's the first one. I get excited about this first one, and it is all revolved around the idea of live streaming. In our work with a lot of Catholic churches and schools across the country and dioceses, very few have jumped on board with live streaming technology. And I think there's really 2 things in play here as to why people are hesitant to get on board with live streaming. I think first it's just generally confusing and overwhelming to people. They think it's overly technical. They don't know how to set up the videos and the encoders and the audio. But once you get through that first hurdle, that's done, and it can just roll moving forward from there. So I really think that that's a hurdle for a lot of people, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. I think the second thing that prevents people from getting started with live streaming is the cost. It's perceived that only the most rich parishes can afford to have live streaming equipment and engage in that sort of ministry, to use that sort of technology. Joe specifically is a number cruncher by nature. He's a very revenue-minded individual. So Joe, I just want you to walk us through the numbers of how a parish or a school or a diocese could actually make live streaming work for them when it comes to dollars and cents.
Great. I'm happy to walk through it. Hopefully Matthew's going to make a beautiful graphic to overlay on the screen to kind of break this down in a real simple format. So if you're listening on Spotify or a podcast somewhere, maybe come back and check the YouTube video to just see how this breaks down. But let's take a look. Our most popular live streaming package is $150 a month. And I know a lot of people sometimes freak out about that, but we don't want you to. When you look at it in the big realm throughout the year, it comes out to $1,800 annually. That's a recurring charge for the service, for the bandwidth. our platform will automatically start and stop your broadcast. You don't have to have somebody physically there. You can schedule them from pretty much anywhere you want. And then in addition to that, you have your initial equipment setup, which runs about $2,200 on an average one camera setup tying into your existing audio board. That also includes the encoder that you'll need to take this video stream that's just a huge file and compress it down into bite-sized chunks to stream back to our servers, to then out to all the people that are watching. So for about a total of $4,000, you can get up and running with live streaming.
So there you have it. $4,000, you can make the magic happen. You'll have all of the tools you'll need. And so from there, what we see a lot of churches do is they just start streaming Mass, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But the question becomes, how can you use live streaming to actually make money? Because streaming Mass isn't probably going to necessarily make you a lot of money.
Exactly. If you want to take a step outside the box, this is something we actually figured out at our own parish by accident several years ago when we started live streaming. Initially, we were going to just live stream to reach the homebound members of our parish. We had some founding members of our parish that were in nursing homes and just couldn't physically attend anymore, and they wanted to still feel part of the weekly Mass and sacrament, even though they couldn't physically be with us there in person. So they actually said, hey, we want to get this rolling. Well, what happened was after about 6 months of us having live streaming technology and people knew that we had it, as weddings and funerals and ordinations and baccalaureates and graduations started happening throughout the year, our parishioners just naturally started asking us, hey, would you mind live streaming this? Well, we had to do a few other things and kind of get that set up for them and those sorts of things. So we actually said, hey, you know what? We're going to charge a small fee, $250, to help others kind of stream their different events. Now, why is this a good idea? One, we can actually provide a stream for people that can't physically attend a wedding or a funeral. So as we're coming into these winter months right now, weather becomes a real issue, especially if you have people flying around the country trying to make a certain location. The other cool thing about it that's, I think, even more amazing is that normally if you hired a videographer to come in and shoot these things, it could cost you thousands of dollars, and you'd probably have to wait weeks or months to get that video back in a format. And we're actually able, as soon as the event is over, to provide a link to download that recording of the live stream, usually within 30 seconds to a minute once we stop the broadcast. So that's what's really cool. I want to break this down. Like Matthew said, I'm kind of a numbers guy. So let's take this down. We said that, for about $4,000, you can get rolling with live streaming for your service costs per year and your initial equipment setup. So in order for you to break even in year one at $250 per event, you'd need to have 16 events at your parish. So I think between weddings and funerals alone, you probably could hit 16 fairly easy. So I think that's a pretty conservative number. Let's say that things go well and you kind of go into year two and you want to have 30 events, right? So 30 events at $250 comes out to $7,500 that you're going to make annually from just broadcasting events. You've already got your equipment set up. It's easy. You basically are scheduling it to start and stop automatically. You don't have to have a person there to get everything rolling. That comes out to $5,700 as essentially profit in year two because you've already paid for your equipment. That's amazing. Now imagine what your ministry or your parish could do with an extra $5,700 to put back into ministry. You can either reinvest that into making your broadcast better cameras, adding additional cameras like we did at St. Thomas, or you could take that money, put it into your operating budget, or distribute it between the different ministries at your parish. Now, that doesn't even count money that people, I think, are willing to donate to support live streaming, just like we have families at St. Thomas that give us recurring donations to make sure that we continue to offer that ministry because they're in nursing homes. And like I said, we're founding members of our parish to continue to support that. So I think that's a really cool way to think about it, to break it down. And I just think it's an incredible revenue opportunity that a lot of parishes probably maybe aren't thinking of or haven't considered or broken it down to a way that they say, oh man, this does make sense. We could probably make this happen. So that's kind of my 2 cents on how to make it work, hopefully, for your parish.
Yeah, and we've been even a little conservative with those numbers. So your revenue numbers could be even greater depending on how much you charge per event and how many events you have at your school, church, or diocese. And a beautiful thing with this whole live streaming process, and if you're using a platform like eCatholic Live, is there's no additional people costs. Like you're not having to pay to have your staff sitting at the church on a Saturday to hit start on the live stream because you can have your staff have the encoder allow them to start and stop the stream automatically. So during their office hours, Monday through Friday, they can say, okay, we have a wedding this Saturday at 2. They purchase the wedding event package for $250. I want it to go live at 1:50 so we can catch the prelude. Stop streaming at 3:30 just to be safe if Father's homily goes long, and then you're good to go. You don't have to have the stress of being there at all these different events and making sure you have your staff covering something like that.
Yeah, the great thing is it's always tied into your existing sound system, and so as long you're going to have your sound working for the actual event, and it's no extra work to make that happen. So that's really great. Kind of transitioning into opportunity number 2 that I think is another great revenue opportunity for your parish or organization is Giving Tuesday. If you haven't heard about Giving Tuesday, it's just an international day of charitable giving. It's the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. Kind of follows, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and it kind of came about to help people realize that, hey, we're going out, we're spending all this money on all this Christmas stuff. We probably need to take a moment, take a step back, and let's give back to some great nonprofits and charitable organizations. To give you an idea of how big this has gotten in the United States alone, it started back in 2012. In 2012, historically, they raised $10 million. Fast forward to 2018 with some of the most recent numbers, and it's estimated that $400 million was raised for nonprofits in the U.S. alone. So there's an incredible opportunity. It's people kind of going out, maybe even feeling a little bit guilty after spending a lot of money on Black Friday and Cyber Monday and giving back. And so by having a way for people to give to you on Giving Tuesday online without having to go somewhere in person, I think it's a great opportunity. I'm going to let Matthew kind of talk a bit more about what that would look like.
Yeah, so the next question naturally is, well, what do we need to participate in something like Giving Tuesday? And it's not complicated. All you need is a website, first of all. Second, you need some sort of online donation platform, donation software that allows you to accept donations online securely. And then just an idea of how to spread the word so that people know that there's an opportunity for them to give and that you can actually inspire generosity within your audience to actually join in giving on Giving Tuesday. So how can it work? Just set up a landing page on your website to promote Giving Tuesday and then put a donation form directly on that page and then find ways to get people to the landing page. You can use social media for this. If you have email marketing software, you can send out either one email or a series of emails to your audience to help them know about the donation opportunity. Some people actually have lobby kiosks in their church gathering spaces or things like that. Just that's the goal. Get people to the landing page however you can think of doing so. And the beautiful thing about something like Giving Tuesday is there's so many people doing it. There's lots of ideas out there of things that you can do. And then you can even take some ideas, morph them together to come up with your own creative Giving Tuesday idea. So just search Giving Tuesday ideas on Google or go onto Twitter or Facebook and just search the Giving Tuesday hashtag that's popularly used on Giving Tuesday. You'll come up with lots of ideas that way. But I just really want to encourage people to think outside the box on this. Don't just post on Facebook, hey, it's Giving Tuesday. Donate to St. Joseph's Church. You can do better than that. And research has actually shown that millennials really want to give to a cause in which they can instantly see the effects of their donation. So instead of just saying donate to us on Giving Tuesday, do something like help us raise $5,000 so we can start live streaming at Mass, something that goes back to what we talked about just a minute ago with the first revenue opportunity. Or join our campaign to raise $60,000 to renovate our youth ministry facilities. Or how about $10,000 will allow us to hire professional musicians for our Christmas masses. Just adding something specific can really help inspire generosity in the people that would potentially give and donate on Giving Tuesday.
Matthew, one of my favorite things that I've seen it was school actually. They had alumni and parents of the school kind of just in a short video from an iPhone or a mobile phone or something to say, hey, why do you give to this school? And they kind of gave their story. Hey, I was raised here. I met these people. It allowed me all these great opportunities. And what was nice is you got to hear stories from that particular organization so that as they were pushing and marketing out to other parents in the area or other alumni, it kind of pulled at some heartstrings too. So one of my favorites definitely by far was just those little video snippets. You could do that with the parish or any other organization, getting existing donors to maybe just give you a quick 15-second video clip of why they give to that organization.
Perfect. If you don't have the ability to accept online donations and payments, we're not typically salesy in our Vlogcast episodes, so I don't want to get salesy, but I just want to mention we do have eCatholic payments as a solution for you. We allow you to put donation forms directly on your landing page for something like Giving Tuesday. So just head to eCatholic.com and check out our donations and payments page for pricing, details, features, and all of those sorts of things.
The last opportunity, real briefly, is pretty quick. There's not a whole lot to really talk about, but it is an opportunity that I think has a ton of potential to capture some one-time donations towards the end of the year. So it's called end-of-year giving. What is it exactly? It can be anything and everything that you want it to be. Some people actually associate it with Giving Tuesday campaigns and those sorts of things. But I think as a general rule of thumb, if you let your donors and parishioners and different people within your organization know at the beginning of December, say, hey, we actually have a place for you to go and give online, and please just consider us at your end of year gifts. There's so many businesses that are kind of getting close to the end of the tax season. They're sitting at their desk on, December 29th, 30th, maybe even the 31st of December and saying, oh man, I really should, or I need to donate maybe another $1,000 or two to a charitable organization. And the only way that they're able to do that is online. And so if you kind of have that top of mind awareness, or you've sent something to them and said, hey, we have this available to you, just please consider it. Hopefully you can catch that top of mind awareness, and they'll donate kind of these one-time end of year gifts. And usually they're pretty sizable chunks, bigger than like an average monthly recurring donation. So just keep that in mind. I think it's an incredible opportunity. It's a really easy opportunity because all you have to do is create a donation form directly on your site. And just make sure that people know that it's available to them there. You can even put a button on your homepage to get them there. So not a whole lot to talk about that, but don't miss out on it, because I think there are some big bucks to help you generate additional revenue towards the end of the year, as we're coming up on that here pretty soon.
So to wrap it up, just start thinking outside of the box on ways that you can bring in revenue for your organization so that you can reinvest it and continue to tell the story, the greatest story that there is to tell, the story of Jesus and his love for all of us through the Catholic Church. So that's all we have for this episode of the Vlogcast. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on YouTube, and we'll see you next time. Take care.